I'm Nathan Ponchard, this is Chasing Cars, and this is the last ever B9 generation Audi RS4 Avant with Competition Plus package.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
Budget Direct.
Now, the Competition Plus package has been available overseas for a while, but Audi Australia has saved it till the end to act as a swan song for this car that has actually been on sale since 2017. Now, what the Competition Plus package brings is a series of enhancements to the car to make it stiffer, lower and cooler. And basically what that entails is a reprogrammed transmission, diffs. The suspension has coil-over suspension, so it sits quite low. As you can see here, it's 10 millimeters lower than the normal RS4 and can be manually wound down another 10 millimeters, hence why it's looking like it's sitting on its guts right here. It has a different LED entrance light sequence. This car has an optional carbon package, which is $6,300 with the carbon on the edge of the bumper here, across the front spoiler and on the mirrors. But it also has optional gloss black versions of the 20-inch milled alloys that save 2 kilos per wheel that are part of the Competition Plus package. You can get it with this gloss turn finish on the outside, but these are the ones to have, especially in an RS4 that is red. The Competition Plus package also brings black badging, so you can see the four rings at the front are black. They're black on the tailgate, as well as RS4 and the band that runs between the lights. We also have matte oval rear pipes, which signify the fact that this has an RS Sport exhaust, which has had 8 kilograms worth of sound deadening removed from it to make it louder and better and angrier. And it absolutely works, as we shall discover in the car. Now, there are only 75 RS4 Avant and RS5 Sportback with the Competition Plus package coming to Australia, 2/3 of which will be the wagon. So orders have already started being filled, but they're not sold out. So it's moments before this car is gone, but what a way to go out, really. Now, the RS4 and RS5 Competition Plus are still in production in Ingolstadt as we film this, but it's moments before that transitions to the new generation Audi A5 that will replace all of these models in a sedan, a wagon, a coupe and a cabriolet, meaning that the RS4 with an even number, this is the last ever one to be produced. Now, concurrent with this Competition Plus pack, you can now get the RS4 and RS5 in Sebring Black Crystal Effect Metallic. But I think this progressive red metallic shows off the body style better. Sure, it would look super sinister in all black with these gloss black wheels unique to the Competition Plus, but I think the red version shows off the shape of this car so well. This is 7 years old, based on an 8-year-old car, and it has a timeless look about it. In particular, the svelte but blistered guards around here. It has this restraint, but this muscularity to it that defines all these Audi RS cars. And coming around the back here, the RS4 with all that unique black badging stuff from the Competition Plus, plus the carbon effect stuff from the optional pack, just sets it off really nicely. A great swan song to this really handsome, much well-liked car. And finally, this is why you buy an RS4 over an RS5. It has all of that space in there, and yet it is mad and fast and louder than it's ever been. And so, what a way to say goodbye to a nameplate like the RS4 that we've all loved for really 20 plus years. There's a familiarity about being in the B9 RS4, but that's a beautiful feeling because this is a beautiful interior. This is the end, potentially, of kind of the no expense spared treatment of finishes and door finishes and all this lovely matte carbon effect stuff. This RS4 Competition Plus normally comes with Nappa leather seats with full electric adjustment and heating, but for $1,300 extra over that package, you can have these amazing Dynamica and leather bucket seats. Now, they are all manual, but they do have crank handle height adjustment. I reckon that they're, for my body size, they are absolutely perfect. They make you sit a lot lower in the cabin and they look friggin' amazing. So why wouldn't you want these? Even sitting behind myself, it doesn't impede on the rear legroom. There's still tons of toe room, and you get to look at the amazing carbon fiber backing on these seats that looks so friggin' cool. Love all this red and piano black around here. It just makes the interior of the car. Now, if you option the bucket seats, you also need to get the RS Design package. That is $3,400 and starts with this Alcantara steering wheel with red stitching that is completely round, 2.4 turns lock to lock, beautiful to hold, exactly what you want in a sports car. None of this flat-bottomed crap. It matches with this Alcantara pad here on the gear lever, which used to be for where you could rest your hand with the MMI controller, but that's now all in the 10.1-inch touchscreen. You've also got this Alcantara padding down the sides here of the console with more red stitching and some red pattern on the floor mats. Like, it just finishes off the interior beautifully. Even this honeycomb pattern in the Dynamica on the seats looks fabulous, and it's reflected in the back seat as well. There's no stripping down of quality in here. It is all pervading through the interior of this beautiful car. Now, it is mostly charcoal in here, other than the red highlights and the piano black bits and pieces, but it doesn't feel hemmed in. It's bright with relatively thin pillars. We do have a full panoramic glass sunroof as standard in the RS4, so it does give a sort of a levity to the interior. This is not a hemmed in place. It even has decent storage. I can fit this 1 litre camping bottle in all 4 doors. You have a proper door grab on all 4 doors as well. And if you don't like the sound of the exhaust with 8 kilos less sound deadening, you have a 19 speaker, 755 watt Bang & Olufsen 3D surround sound system. So this RS4 might be the maddest, hardest one that's ever lived, but it's also still a luxury car. I forgot to mention that the RS design package does also bring these red edge seat belts, which are pretty cool, and kind of matches the detail changes for the engineering of the car as well. There are 6 areas where Audi has generally attended to. They are fixed ratio dynamic steering, so it doesn't have the variable ratio steering of before, which means that it is a lot more direct around straight ahead and doesn't have that sort of changing feeling. It feels a lot crisper. It's also had the transmission calibration changed and upgraded, which changes the 0 to 100 time of the RS4 to 3.9 seconds and 3.8 in the RS5, even though the power is still 331 kilowatts at 5,700 to 6,700 RPM, and torque is still 600 Newton meters at 1,950 to 5,000 RPM. So that hasn't changed, but with the lowering of the suspension, which is the third thing, the coilover fixed rate suspension, they even supply a little pack where you can adjust the suspension manually yourself. So it really is the full next level for people who want to do track days and stuff in something like this. It's also had the Quattro center diff changed to send more drive to the rear end of the car. The rear sport diff has also been changed to be more sporting. It really does give it more tail out effect. It's had the sports exhaust added, the RS Sport, with the matte tips and the extra sound. And when we get out of this sort of low speed road here, well, you can probably hear it already. It just has this lovely kind of V6 gurgle when it is between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM. But when it's really hammering, the sound of this uprated exhaust with the existing engine, which was already brilliant, such a drivable engine, just adds a bit of extra brashness, a bit of extra hardcore nature to it. Kind of like that. So yeah, 3.9 to 100, but also similar efficiency to before, 9.5 litres per 100 kilometres as a combined fuel consumption, although this car here has done 1,772 Ks since brand new, and it's averaged 12.8 since the moment someone drove it. So 12.8 litres per 100 kilometres isn't that bad for what it is, I suppose. But then, you know, it's not electrified, and for that we can only be thankful, I think, because it's still such a good car to drive. The drivetrain before was known for its drivability, but perhaps didn't have that sort of edge that, say, its M3, M4 competitors had, or potentially the old twin-turbo V8 in the AMG, and even the old V8s in the RS4 models. But without the sound deadening around it, and with the sports exhaust on it, there's just this beautiful sound, that gurgle that it's got now between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM, I just absolutely love. You can put it in manual mode and just let it ride that torque there and just really enjoy that sound. But like, you know, we heard it, when it goes, it really goes, and it has this sort of mad rush about it that I just find a little bit addictive. And when you combine that with the increased rear bias of the suspension and the more kick in the diff, it really is surprisingly chuckable. There's a lot of sort of old school charm in the RS4 that I think has come out in it more over time. And the dynamics of it, like, yeah, it may not be the most hard-edged, finest, most adjustable, but it's never been more of those things for what this is. It's got a hard edge thanks to those coilover suspension, but it isn't uncomfortable. It does occasionally crash through over bumps, but not that much. Like the roads we're on around here in the New South Wales Southern Highlands aren't particularly forgiving for things with large wheels, and even some of the other air suspended cars we've driven here have crashed through. So given that this is the full race spec, admittedly set up for the factory spec where it's not the full 20mm lower than a normal RS4, it's just really good. Speed humps, not its forte, but also not terrible either. And even going over this road now, it's surprisingly livable and good given what it is. It still has the standard brakes, which are 375mm ventilated front disc with 6-piston calipers, 330mm with 2-piston at the back, although you can get 400mm front ceramic discs for this car, which I suppose that's not what we have here, and I haven't tried them. But if you are taking it to a track, and all of these changes and the opportunity to be able to adjust the suspension in the RS4 to make it even more honed on a smooth, fast surface, means that this truly is such a mad bastard family wagon that can do all the things that other people's sports coupes can do, but also take 5 people on holiday on the weekend. And I think that is the greatest thing about it. With the linear ratio steering either side of straight ahead, it just has this connection here. It just feels more direct, more natural. It does have 2.4 turns lock to lock. I think the standard one might be a bit less than that, and if it isn't, okay, but it does feel more consistent. Even pulling all that sound deadening out of the exhaust has made it more analog, has made it grainier, has taken the layer of refinement out of it and just made this car more connected. Like, it's friendlier, but it's also more focused. It's just like it's on your wavelength rather than being a little bit aloof, and that's something that sports Audi models have often been criticised for over a long period of time. And I think that this final swan song, RS4 Avant Competition Plus, absolutely achieves what it set out to do, and that is to make it just a better performance car, and yet it doesn't make it unlivable either, and that's what makes it such a great way to go out. Now, with those bucket seats that you absolutely have to option in this car, this is about $15,000 on top of a normal RS4, which is hardly normal anyway, and it's already expensive. But this one you see here, Progressive Red, $191,405. This is not an inexpensive car, and it is a lot of money to potentially pay on a 7-year-old vehicle. But I feel like this RS4 actually has a huge degree of timelessness about it. It's never been more hardcore, louder, cooler, and just more unique as an RS4, yet it's still totally a dad car. It's like a wagon. You can fit 3 people across the back seat, all of that stuff. I love that combination of practicality and performance. And considering we don't know where the RS4 is going to go in its next generation, perhaps this twin turbo V6 with more balls than ever is the one to buy right now. If you haven't subscribed, please do so below the video. Hit the notification bell and tell us what you think about the RS4 Avant, about its exit strategy, about whether you think Audi should follow in the same path as this or the same path as Mercedes AMG, or what you think about chasing cars. Thanks for watching.